Hello everyone. Things just keep dropping news, so I keep having decent Wednesday videos to make. Woohoo! I am working on the next Delta Theory video right now, so hopefully that can come out soon. But, for the time being, let's talk about this Zelda movie announcement, huh? Yeah, just randomly. Yeah, we're making a live-action Zelda movie. Awesome. Cool. And if you see the background, the music, everything I've got going on right now, this is kind of my prediction about the movie, alright? So, a while ago, I don't remember if this was on a stream or if I just did this for myself, just for fun. I made a tier list about the Nintendo properties that I thought would make the most okay movies, right? Which there isn't, like, that many good ones, let's be honest. But I did think about how a Zelda movie could work, because they were obviously going to make one after the Mario movie. I didn't think it would be live action, but what are you going to do? Not much to be done about that now. It's already in the works. So, my thoughts back then were that they would be doing either a Breath of the Wild movie, where, like, Zelda doesn't get glooped by Ganon, and so she's with you the whole time. Because something very important when it comes to these movies is that unless they're going really experimental, which, given that Nintendo has chosen Illumination for their animated movie, and the people behind this are very much just like blockbuster movie people, I think they're going pretty by the numbers, which is unsurprising. But what that means is they're probably not going to make a soulful movie where Link is going on this journey all on his own, which kind of takes out Breath of the Wild a little bit, because I don't really know how Breath of the Wild story would work if Zelda was just there, you know? It's possible, but the next biggest game in the franchise is Ocarina of Time, right? But there's kind of a problem there, which is that how do you do the two eras? Do you have, like, the child era be like a prologue and then cut straight to the adult era? Do you try to cut the movie in half with Link growing up halfway in between it? Do you split it into two movies? Like, how do you do that? It just doesn't seem easy enough for them to go for it. You know what I mean? Plus, how would they do Navi? It frightens me to think about it. Just a tiny human woman flying around Link at all times. It's a little frightening. But there is one game, and it's not the biggest game, but you know what? It's the start of the timeline. It's known for its good story. And there are two characters, well, really one, but we'll say two characters that can kind of accompany Link throughout his entire journey. Also, Zelda isn't a damsel for the whole movie. She kind of, or the whole story, let's say, going to be movie. She does get trapped in a crystal for a while, but for the most part, she's actually around doing stuff, and they can actually interact, which is good. So here's my thoughts on what they might actually do for this movie. And you'll have to apologize for the visuals. Like, this kind of slapdash. They kind of, again, just dropped this randomly. And I was like, I should do this for a video. But, you know. You'll just have to listen to my charming voice. Anyway. Skyward Sword, right? So, Skyward Sword starts with you on this island. This is the perfect setup, right, for a movie. You know, Link does some chores and meets the people who are going to be important through the whole rest of the story. And there's even, like, the classic hero's journey call to adventure where Fi leads him to the goddess shrine and he gets the sword and then he can go down to the bold new world, which is literally underneath the clouds. You can get a funny cameo from Beetle. I don't know who else you'd really get a cameo from up here. Because I do think that the main trio of the movie, Groose, Link, and Fi, because if they are doing Skyward Sword, they don't get Ganondorf, which is kind of a bummer, right? They have to do Demise, which is basically Ganondorf in all but name. He's still got the fiery red hair and the big body and the giant sword. But Groose is basically Ganondorf. And there's been this fan theory forever that Groose's ancestors are the Gerudo. So why not just play with that? And then we have a trio that is Link, who's courageous, Fi, who is wise, and Groose, who is powerful. And then it just fits perfectly into the normal 3-act structure of one of these movies, right? Where Groose is the comedic sidekick, Fi is the wisecracking lady, and then Link can be the, kind of boring protagonist. Unfortunately. And what I am guessing they will do is just have the 3 regions, the desert, the forest, and the volcano. But they'll just do like one temple in each. Probably the later temples, because they're way more iconic. So like the ancient cistern, the fire temple, and the sand ship. And you can get rid of the parts that people don't usually like the giant, Tantalus. You can just have the boss of that area, because it's not like a main boss. You can just have the boss of that area be the pirate robot. And similarly with, the ancient cistern, you probably would want to use Galactus, because it's such an iconic boss. But with the Fire Temple, you could just have that fight be against Girahim, which again is another reason why I think Skyward Sword makes so much sense for this, because Girahim is a constant threat. Like, one of the problems with a regular Zelda movie is that Ganondorf just sits in his castle and waits for you, right? And you can have him go out to fight, but you want to save that climactic battle for later, so you'd have to introduce some sort of lesser minion for the protagonist to clash with over and over. Skyward Sword solves that problem by already having that lesser minion in Girahim. And I think this is probably some sort of MacGuffin quest, right? Because that's usually what an adventure movie like this would be, right? And my guess is that the MacGuffin is going to be the Gears of Time, or whatever I think that's what the time machine is called, that sends you back to Demise's era, where you have to fight him. Where Link's party and also Girahim are all racing to try to unlock the Gates of Time, or Gears of Time, whatever it's called. And in order to do that, they have to upgrade their swords or something like that. Like, you have to have this super sword. Because in the actual game, Girahim is like a reflection of the goddess sword. Because he is a sword, if you didn't know that. Girahim is a sword spirit, just like Fi is a sword spirit. So you can have this parallel thing where Link is going to these places to upgrade the goddess sword into the true master sword. Girahim is also upgrading the true demon sword or whatever. And then the idea is like, oh, we gotta beat him. And if you don't want to commit to the idea that, like, oh, the demon sword could also activate the time gear, just have Girahim be tricking them, essentially. Like, oh, yes. Oh, I'm going to beat you. And then, in the end, it turns out they actually fell into his trap. Because, obviously, Girahim has to win, sort of, in order for them to go back in time to fight Demise. It's gonna happen, right? And it's the perfect Dark Night of the Soul, or whatever, which is the part of a movie where the main characters have an argument, and things are not going well for them. Which is probably going to be something like Zelda gets crystalled, and then Girahim has gone through the portal, and they're like, well, we lost. And then Groose is going to have some sort of, like, redemptive, epic speech that reinvigorates everyone, and they go and fight Demise together. Do I think this will be a good movie? No. In the same way the Mario movie isn't really a good movie. Like, it's passable, and it's fun as someone who knows the series to watch it and be like, oh, I know that thing. Oh, it's Donkey Kong. But, like, it's not an epic story or, like, really anything other than a showcase of cool visuals and a bunch of references. I expect this movie to be somewhat like that, but maybe a little bit more focused on actual cinematography. Seems how they want to go live action with it, and you can't just cheat like you can in animation with some things. You know, like you actually have to think about how the scene is before you make it. And I know that's true of animation as well, but what I'm basically saying is they can't be like, oh yeah, let's have this super epic battle with a giant flaming meatball boss or Tantalus without thinking like, okay, how is that going to translate to live action? Because Tantalus in live action sounds horrible. And so does the fire meatball. I never remember its name. It's just a fire meatball to me. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm interested to see who the cast will be for this movie, because I feel like it's going to be the most generic takes you could possibly have. Like, people have been posting about Tom Holland as Link forever. It's probably just going to be that. You know? I mean, I don't know. I can't think of any other story that would work as an actual movie, though, other than Skyward Sword. And it's a little weird because, like, I don't think it's literally going to be Skyward Sword either. I think they're going to take some liberties, obviously. But it's not the most popular Zelda game, is the thing. And I could see them trying to cram Ocarina of Time into this format. And just failing so hard. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Short video, I know. But I'd love to see your thoughts about the idea of either a Skyward Sword movie or what you think the movie is going to be like. Because regardless, the next Nintendo Direct is going to be very funny. Assuming they announce the cast in the next Nintendo Direct. But I'm guessing they will. I don't know. I can't believe this is happening. Why? Okay. Which would be worse, though, really? A live-action Zelda movie by the most generic blockbuster people out there, or an Illumination Zelda movie? I really don't know. Because story is so important for this. Like, without the gameplay of a Zelda game, the story really has to carry the entire weight. Because you can't just have, like, the Mario movie where you can have, like, oh, look at all these characters. There actually really has to be a compelling narrative. Because Link isn't really the most interesting character. Neither is Fi, neither is Groose, neither is most of the time Zelda. I think her most interesting she's ever been has been in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I kind of count them as one because they're in the same universe, timeline, whatever, section. But I just don't see them being able to do a Breath of the Wild movie. Like, how would you make that work? Not only does that increase the areas you have to go to from 3 to 4, but so many more characters. And, like, is Link just gonna chill with the champions? Like, at the end of the thing, are we just gonna have 6 main characters? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. But I guess we'll find out. So, if you want to see my eventual reaction to the Zelda movie announcement, subscribe, I guess. If I'm right, you owe me a like. Wink. Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, leave me your thoughts in the comments. I'll go back to working on the Deltarune video now. Okay, bye!